Hello, everyone. This is Yen-Lien. I'm from National Cheng University in Taiwan. Now I'm going to present one of my study about imaginary future generation. The title is whether the process of imaginary future generation increases the willingness of investing in sustainable development, the case of climate change. In this study, I'm particularly trying to emphasize the importance of climate change mitigation. Why? I just give you an example about the case in Taiwan. In Taiwan, we have an act about greenhouse gas reduction and management. And in the previous year, our Environment Protection Administration Minister said that we may fail to the greenhouse gas emission reduction target of 2% reduction by 2020, which is last year, comparing to the 2005 greenhouse gas emission. Finally, it seems that we did reach the target. However, we didn't have any confidence about doing this. Comparing with that, in Taiwan, our disaster reduction budget had increased annually. As you can see on the slide, our disaster reductions increased substantially, particularly for the special budget. What's the differences between annual budget and special budget? Based on the law of Taiwan, special budget is not included, not counted as a limitation of raising debts, government debt. So they keep our politicians, they keep raise their special budget for disaster reduction. However, comparing with the climate change mitigation, we never really ratified any energy tax. This kind of energy tax law had been proposed for several times. However, it was never been ratified. So why is that? I think the reason is that climate change mitigation, that is greenhouse gas emissions reduction, is a kind of public good. But the disaster reduction is only related to Taiwan, and now we have a good tool, which is special budget, so that we don't have to bear the limitation of that. And we can have more money to do disaster reduction, but we are hesitate to do greenhouse gas emission reduction. So in order to deal with this situation is that Taiwanese people lack of future ability or sustainable development concepts. So one of the very good way or example is future design idea, which proposed by Professor Saijo. And as you know, many research had been proposed, had been shown that IFG, Imaginary Future Generation, can increase people's future ability. So I don't want to repeat those results. However, in those studies, they use ISDG, Intergenerational Sustainability Dilemma Games. In my opinion, ISDG is a very good game for testing intergenerational between current and future generations dilemma. However, concerning to the current generation, concerning to our society, current society, when we have to decide whether we're going to invest in public goods, there is some uncertainty. We have to know the benefit of investing. So ISDG is like sharing or just split a benefit between current and future generation. But I don't think that is the case that current society is facing. We need to invest. For example, we need to pay energy tax to reduce greenhouse gas emission. So that I think probably we can change the way of the game. So in this study, we use public goods game. That is the most different point from previous study. There were some other studies about climate change mitigation. For example, Hudson's study in 2010, and that is a kind of public goods game, negative ones. But that game doesn't show the trade-off between intergeneration. So in this study, in our study, we design a series of steps. There are 6 steps. In the first step, we have introduction of climate change, the cause and the way to deal with greenhouse gas emission reduction. And we have environmental questionnaire for those subjects. In the step 2, we use detector scan to test subjects' altruism to the current and the future generation. In the step 3, we had a standard public goods scan. The only difference between traditional public goods scam and our climate change mitigation game is that our game design and state that the money is for greenhouse gas mitigation, climate change mitigation, sorry. And in the step 4, we have treatment of IFG, and we also ask them to write down what their imagination about future in Taiwan. In that step 5, we randomly consist those subjects into a team, which is quite similar with previous studies. Okay, in the step 1, we asked them to, I had introduced climate change and also emphasize that capital investment will be required for the greenhouse gas emissions mitigations. And also emphasize greenhouse gas emission mitigation is a global intergenerational public goods to be shared by all across generations. In the step 2, we use detectors game. There are 2 games. The first one is we ask them to donate to people in need or the vulnerable. In the second one, detector game, we ask them to donate from $100 income they can donate to a future generation. We told that the future generation will be around 2060. And we also emphasize that if they, the remainder of the income they kept will be related to their real income, real compensation from these scams. The step 3 is a public scam. In these scams, the setting is that the amount equal to 1.5 times of the total amount of the investment from all subjects will be treated as a public goods benefit, which will be equally shared by all, no matter whether you donate or not. And you can keep the remainder of the income and also get the income from the donation and the benefit of the foundation. Okay, now this is the most important treatment that is the IFG, Imaginary Future Generation. I told them as soon as you have a time machine that allows you to travel to the Taiwan in 2060, and you will, and then the most important and the differences between this study and the previous study done by Daiji Xiao is that we asked them to be the representative of the inhabitants of the 2060 Taiwan and to participate the following games. After this treatment, we asked them to do a climate change mitigation game. The differences between traditional or typical public goods scam is that we set the amount, the original amount of investment given by the subject will be distributed to all participants, and the amount of 0.5 times of the total amount investment will be reserved for the public goods benefit for the future generation, which will not be distributed to the current generation. Why is that? The reason is that because the greenhouse gas has a very long lifetime in the atmosphere. Okay, so they cannot, even we invest, we know we invest now, but we cannot get the benefits now. So that's the differences between our climate change mitigation scam and the traditional public goods scam. Okay. Okay, they are in the step 4 for the control groups. The differences between that is the times of the benefit. In step 5, we randomly draws, and the team consists 2 control group member and 1 experiment group member. Yeah. Okay. So this is data. So in total, we have 315 students of National Cheng University. We have 1,577 samples from DG1, DG2, PG3, PG4, and PG5, and those games. So let me show the results of this study. The first part is that we run the OLS of the autism. As you can see, gender is a very significant result. Female donate more, which consists of current and future generation, and people who was born in the countryside. They tended to donate more as well. Now, as you can see here in the economics, that means students subjects who had background of economics tended to donate less. We also did a two-stage D-square of climate change mitigation games. The dependent variable is the investment of public goods gain. And now, as you can see here, the treatment, the most important is the treatment effect is significant, which shows that IFG can have significant effects to the investment of public goods. The amount, the effect will be around 14%. The expected altruism is also significant. Whether they trust those variables are from the questionnaire. The trust of the technology have negative effects. The public goods benefit multiplier is positive, and the number of gameplay has negative effect. In the team investment results, as you can see, people who have IFG treatment still have significant effect. So that means people who had IFG will invest more, even in a group. So yeah, those are the results, and also I had mentioned about the major results of this study. So if some part of the write-down analysis don't have time to present, sorry. If you are interested in that, I can explain more about what they write down for their imagination. Okay, thank you.